As one of the most popular genres in the gaming business, RPGs have long been at the top. Whether it was decades ago or more recently, role-playing games have always been popular. So, in this video, I will share with you the greatest RPGs of each year in the 2010s. Let us know in the comments section which one of these games is your favorite. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's start in the year 2010 with Mass Effect 2. BioWare was one of the most well-known video game companies in the 2000s, creating rich RPGs seemingly independent of setting, such as Baldur's Gate, Dragon Age, and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. However, the Mass Effect series was their most popular, regarded as some of, if not the best, sci-fi games. Mass Effect 2 is considered the crowning jewel of the series, retaining many aspects of RPGs that made the first game a household name. Players can start as different classes with various abilities and proficiencies that can impact the RPG nature of the game. Most importantly, being an RPG, players can accept numerous quests, travel the galaxy, and indulge in the deep lore Mass Effect contains. 2011, The Elder Scrolls V: Skyrim. Because of how widely played it has become over the years, the thriving modding community, and the regular updates that Bethesda releases for the game, Skyrim always feels like a game that came out recently. There are definitely many who would feel elderly upon recalling that it was released in 2011. Skyrim, the most well-known game from Bethesda, is undoubtedly one of the most immersive environments that players have ever experienced. While Skyrim may not be as deep of an RPG as games like Baldur's Gate 3 are, it still has a wide range of components that place it among the greatest of the genre thanks to its abundance of classes, skills, missions, places, and of course, weapons. Let's now go back to 2012 with Mass Effect 3. One of the most renowned sci-fi gaming franchises came to an end in 2012 with the release of the first 3 Mass Effect games. Although the series finale was generally praised for its quality, a significant critique was that it fell short of fans' expectations. All things considered, Mass Effect 3 continues the tradition set by the first 2 games, in which players construct their own characters and select from a variety of classes, each of which has special abilities and skills. Once more, the RPG genre's hallmarks of interaction and task completion are available to players as they traverse the cosmos. Additionally, the game had a cooperative option called Multiplayer Survival, in which players had to withstand waves of adversaries. In 2013, Path of Exile was released. After more than 10 years of waiting for the next Diablo game, some fans weren't prepared for Diablo 3's 2012 release. Path of Exile, a game that was obviously influenced by Blizzard's franchise, arrived as a spiritual successor to Diablo 2. Path of Exile, a widely acclaimed game, is set in a dark fantasy setting, a gaming genre that was only beginning to gain popularity. Any of the classes that are available to players can be used to explore the environment. Each class has different requirements for weaponry and loot, a system that Path of Exile heavily utilizes. Interestingly, locales are also procedurally generated in addition to primary areas. The fact that Path of Exile has said that it will never be pay to win is crucial for players. Do you love the list we have so far? If yes, we really appreciate if you could leave it a like to support the channel and consider subscribing, so you won't be left behind on the best and latest in gaming. Let's now go back in 2014 for Dark Souls 2. Despite competing with Skyrim when it launched in 2011, the first Dark Souls is widely regarded as one of the greatest role-playing games ever created. Even though Dark Souls 2 is frequently regarded as the most frustrating Soulsborne game from Software, it didn't face as much formidable competition upon its 2014 release. Despite some of the series' teething troubles, Dark Souls 2 gave players the option to build and personalize a character from a variety of starting classes. The game is shockingly large, unless someone has played Elden Ring before, with players being able to invest in numerous stats to wield an enormous selection of weaponry and armor. 2015 is the year for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Widely regarded as one of the best video games ever made, carried on Geralt of Rivia's story. Highly praised by all, the third Witcher game has a lot of role-playing aspects in its universe, which is thought to be one of the most realistic. When taking on the role of Geralt, players have the opportunity to alter the plot through dialogue. One notable instance of this is when trading with other characters. There are numerous ways to battle opponents in this intricate combat system. As per normal, players must complete a variety of quests in order to receive varying rewards. 2016, Dark Souls 3. At the end of the Dark Souls series, FromSoft gave a much-deserved farewell. Many fans still think Dark Souls 3 is the best game FromSoft has ever developed, even after Elden Ring came out. This time around, Dark Souls 3 marked a clear departure from previous entries in the series by adding more intricate and challenging bosses. There were still a lot of features from the earlier games, like starting classes that could be customized for each character, leveling up stats, and an abundance of armor and weapons. Gamers also believe that the 2 DLCs for Dark Souls 3 are among the best in gaming, and possibly the best FromSoft has ever produced. In 2017, Divinity Original Sin 2 was released, and was the game that gave Larian Studios permission to develop Baldur's Gate 3 after it won over Wizards of the Coast. Given that Larian had been producing critically acclaimed games for some time at that point, it's easy to understand why. With its intricate isometric tactical turn-based combat, Divinity Original Sin 2 is a perfect illustration of a role-playing game. The classes that players can choose from each have special talents and abilities that can have a variety of status effects. Armor and weapons abound, and they can all be utilized on an endless number of tasks. Different interactions will occur between NPCs through talk or actions. Even multiplayer mode in the game lets buddies get into some good old-fashioned mayhem. Monster Hunter World enters the RPG realm way back in 2018. Out of all the games that Capcom has produced, Monster Hunter World is one of the most well-known and current installments in the Monster Hunter franchise. The gameplay loop of Monster Hunter World is named after it. Players are required to explore the open world and hunt monsters. The game places a strong emphasis on character customization. Players can then construct more powerful weapons by defeating these monsters. There is a large and varied range of weapons that can be utilized to complete objectives. The game has a steep learning curve at first, but the gameplay loop is rewarding and straightforward, which is why it's regarded as one of Capcom's greatest. And finally, we have the 2019 Disco Elysium. With no combat, Disco Elysium is a unique role-playing game. It is a really unique game that is held in the highest regard. So much so that some even classify it as interactive art. In addition to being an RPG, Disco Elysium is also a detective game in which the player controls their character and advances the plot through skill checks and discussion rather than fighting enemies. In addition to the standard RPG interactions with objects and NPCs, players can also utilize a variety of skills, each with unique advantages that can lead to finishing the game in a variety of ways. I want to know your thoughts on what is the best RPGs that rock the year 2020. Let us know in the comments section. As usual, I thank you for watching until the end. Consider subscribing so you won't be left behind on the best and latest in gaming. See you in our next video.